Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. All praises to Allah, the Creator of the universes and their Sustainer, the Provider of believers and unbelievers. And may His choicest blessings be on the seal of His prophets, the last of His messengers and His holy progeny. We were discussing how the Kufians wrote letters to Imam Hussein alayhi salam inviting him to Kufa to lead them to the right path. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, in a dilemma whether to accept that invitation forthright or not to do so, came to the conclusion that the best course was to send an emissary he trusted who would stand in his place in Kufa until the weather was cleared. And he said in his letter that should his emissary write to him saying that the Kufians have made allegiance to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he would personally go to Kufa. That letter from Hazrat Muslim alayhi salam arrived when the Imam alayhi salam was in Makkah and he set out for Kufa. It was an extremely interesting situation. But before we discuss his departure, I think it is important to consider the personality and character of Muslim ibn Aqil alayhi salam. The Imam alayhi salam was invited to go there personally. He didn't. He sent an emissary. Well, if he did so, then was that emissary sufficient for the purposes of the request of the Kufians? If he was not, then even for the little period, for that transitional period when the Imam alayhi salam was only checking out on them, he would have provided the Kufians less than what an Imam should. So the personality of Muslim ibn Aqil and his character were matters of highest importance. You will recall he said in his letter that he wrote to the Kufians that he was sending Akhi wa ibn Ammi wa thiqati, a person whom he relied on, a one he trusted. Well, history records that throughout the period when Muslim ibn Aqil alayhi salam was in Kufa, there was not one complaint against him. Not one Kufian ever complained that I've asked a question on fiqh to Muslim ibn Aqil and I did not get a satisfactory answer. Not one who said that he did not attend one prayer in time to lead prayers in the mosque. Not one of them complained that he uttered a word that was unsuitable to an emissary from Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So it shows that the knowledge that Muslim ibn Aqil was vested with was a more knowledge indeed of a faqih. He must have been a person who knew his fiqh so inside out that when a Kufian asked him a question on Hajj, he was ready to reply. If it was a question on Salah, he was ready with the correct answer. If it was a question on Saum, then he wouldn't hesitate. And the answers he gave were answers that would lead the Kufians to hidayah, to true guidance, until the Imam alayhi salam himself took over. Well, so one saw him as a faqih in that manner, but his mannerisms must be those of a true Muslim. The sunnah of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him and his progeny, was to conduct oneself in the best of manners. Yes, ba'athu an atumma maqarimul akhlaq. He himself said that Allah sent him as a messenger so that he elevates makarimul akhlaq, good manners and etiquette, to their perfection. That was the sunnah at which the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him and his progeny, lived. That therefore would be the sunnah on which each of his successor would live. If you found a successor who became angry when he should not be angry, when he should be restraining his anger, when he should be indeed kadhimul ghayth, those are the qualities particularly enshrined in the seventh Imam alayhi salam, but truly enshrined in all the Imams alayhi salam, as they were in the Holy Prophet himself, peace be upon him and his progeny. If we find a person who was lacking in good manners, we immediately know he is not a true successor to the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him and his progeny. Hence, our rejection of Yazid becomes so straightforward, becomes undeniable, becomes irresistible. But in Muslim ibn Aqil, they must have found a character of a type that was totally unquestionable. And his taqwa, his piety, must have been at a level at which he was unquestionable. I ask rhetorically, would 17,000, 20,000 people come and give allegiance at the hand of Muslim if that hand was not regarded as pure as that of Imam Hussein alayhi salam? Sufficient for our purposes that a man of the integrity and perfection of Imam Hussein alayhi salam should say that an answer given by Muslim is an answer given by me. Whatever Muslim asks you to do is exactly what I have asked you to do. Well, ta'atuhu ta'ati, obedience to him is obedience to me. So you can see the level at which Muslim ibn Aqil alayhi salam stayed. He, peace be on him and his father. And this was vital, because a fault in Muslim ibn Aqil could have been interpreted as a fault in the appointment of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. I ask only one question, by the way, as I tread along this path, that if appointing a representative only for a few days to check out and then he would take over himself, made it so vital that he should appoint a person of such qualities, then if a representative was to be appointed to take the place of the Holy Prophet himself, peace be upon him and his progeny, not for a few days, but when the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him and his progeny, was leaving the world for good, how vital was it that an appointment be made of a person who would stand in the shoes of the Holy Prophet himself, peace be upon him and his progeny. Hence, it cannot be a matter of election by humans. It must be a matter, as indeed the Holy Prophet himself, peace be upon him and his progeny, said, of appointment by Allah himself, glorified and exalted. Well, but it is easy in good days to behave as a good man. It is in the heat of fire that the true character is tested. And nobody perhaps went through that heat more fiercely than Muslim ibn Aqil alayhi salam. He was alone in Kufa. In Karbala, as I hope we will see in one of our discussions, the companions behaved with excellent manners, in an excellent manner. But at least they had the presence of the Imam alayhi salam with them. When you see Muslim ibn Aqil alayhi salam, he was lonely in Kufa. And yet his mannerisms were at that peak. And I wish to cite, time permitting of course, only 4 quick examples of the high level of conduct at which Muslim ibn Aqil lived. Those were levels which need to be reiterated in our settings, because that is the least that we owe to Muslim ibn Aqil, but also because they are inspiring to us to emulate such behavior. When he arrived in Kufa, he was at the house of Mukhtar. A stage came when Mukhtar decided he would leave Kufa and go out to accumulate arms and to gather an army so that they could mount an attack on Bashir bin Nu'man, who was then the governor in Kufa. In the meantime, whilst Mukhtar was away, Bashir bin Nu'man was replaced with Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, la'natullah alayh, and he was a fierce man. The moment he entered Kufa, he announced that he had heard Muslim ibn Aqil was in Kufa, that none should speak to him, none should have anything to do with him, and if anybody was found having any contact with Muslim ibn Aqil, his houses would be confiscated, his children would be arrested, he himself would be locked up, all kinds of intimidation. Do you know too well from your experiences that a tyrant can never act with justice? That is a term unknown to him. He can only act with intimidation. Put fear into the hearts of the people. And this is how Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad acted. This is how Yazid acted. This is how Muawiyah acted. Putting fear into the people so that they leave the straight path and go astray out of those fear. That is why I said, in good days it is easy to be good man. But it is when turmoil sets in that the man is truly tested as to his true aqidah, true beliefs and faith. Well, when Muslim ibn Aqil noticed all that, he immediately took the decision that staying in the house of Mukhtar when he was not in the city himself would be wrong. Because if there is going to be attack on Muslim ibn Aqil, he did not want that attack to take place in the house of Mukhtar when Mukhtar was not there himself. He immediately therefore vacated the house of Mukhtar and he moved to the house of another very close companion of Hazrat Muslim alayhi salam, of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and indeed of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam himself, Hani ibn Urwa. Hani ibn Urwa has the status, even today, centuries later, that his shrine stands parallel to the shrine of Muslim ibn Aqil. Whenever we go to salute Hazrat Muslim alayhi salam in Masjid al-Kufa, we indeed immediately move and make salam to Hani ibn Urwa. That is the status Allah, glorified and exalted, has reposed on Hani ibn Urwa even before the day of reward, on the day of judgment arrives. Well, Hani, of course, accepted Muslim with open hands. Hani became unwell. I am cutting a long story short. And Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad asked of him, told that he was not well. He expressed the wish to visit Hani at his house, only to inquire after his health. All this not because Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad was a caring person wishing to visit a sick old man, because Hani already then was about 100 years old. Not that, but he was a political person. Therefore his PR, as we call it today, was of a high level. He kept friendships with the heads of all clans so that he could communicate with the clan at any given time through that head, and he kept them happy. He who cherished money would be given money. He who cherished position would be given position. Ubaydullah knew exactly how to judge the character of these heads of clans and rewarded them with what they would wish to see, to receive from the governor of the time. With Hani, he had to show respect to Hani, not so much because of Hani, but because of the clan. If the clan came to know that their head was visited by the governor, they would have loyalty to the governor. So it was purely a political move. Hani, sensing that, turns to Hazrat Muslim alayhi salam and says, Muslim, I've got the news that Ubaydullah is coming to visit me. When he is in my house and he is alone, you barge into my bedroom and kill him straight away. Then your worst enemy in Kufa today would be disposed of in one stroke. And he said to Muslim, you stand outside the door at an angle from which you can see me. When I remove my amama, you should know that the time is ripe and barge in. Hani removed his amama 3 times, and yet Muslim did not enter the room to kill Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. When Ubaydullah left, Hani called Muslim in and said, I removed my amama 3 times. And the simple answer of Hazrat Muslim alayhi salam was, no, I could not step in and kill him because I thought it was beneath the dignity of your house that your guest should kill your visitor when he has come to inquire after your health. Can you see the level of the akhlaq of that person? Not to kill another person who was an ordinary man was different, but to have such lofty thoughts when you are dealing with your die-hard enemy who is after your blood is a matter only for resolution of Muslim ibn Aqil alayhi salam. That is the level at which Muslim was. And when he got the news that Hani ibn Urwa was arrested and was to be killed, he marched onto the government house. And indeed it is said he marched with 5,000 people. So you can see the quality of courage and valor of Muslim ibn Aqil. He was not with Abbas alayhi salam, the very giant of valor and loyalty. He was not with the other companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, but he gathered his companions in Kufa, and it is said with a group of about 4,000 to 5,000 people, he went to the government house. Immediately, Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad had all the gates closed so that he does not barge right into the government house. He held the door of the government house and says, Ubaidullah, don't hide inside as you are doing. Come out and fight me. And let us resolve this, you and I, here and now, instead of you conniving against me behind my back and making allegations against me that are totally false. That was a supreme occasion that Muslim ibn Aqil took advantage of to put on record his total innocence in respect of his stay in Kufa, and to say that all the allegations that were made by Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad were totally false. But as he stood there waiting for Ubaidullah to come, time for prayer came, Zohar time came. And nothing was more important than obedience to Allah, glorified and exalted, and bowing down in sajda to Him. He turned to his people and said, it's time for prayer. We are here to worship Allah, and hence we must move to the mosque. They moved to the mosque, said their Zohar prayers, came back to the government house to challenge Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad again. It is after Isha that Ubaidullah, having got all the time he wanted to perfect his machinations, that Hazrat Muslim alayhi salam finds that as he leaves the mosque, he was alone. There was nobody with him. And yet, it was not an evening on which his courtesy, his akhlaq, his high conduct would permit him to go back to the house of honey, in which honey was not there anymore. So he now moves around in the streets of Kufa. He goes to the house of Tawa. Tawa lets him in. In the morning, they hear hoofs of horses. And Hazrat Muslim alayhi salam immediately gets ready and wants to mount his horse and pauses only to thank Tawa for that night that she provided him in her house. Tawa says, where are you going? Don't you hear these horsemen coming? Hazrat Muslim says, yes, I hear that is very well, but they are coming to arrest me. Tawa says, if that is the case, should you not be hiding inside instead of going outside? And his words were so noble, enshrined in golden words today. He turns round to Tawa and says, Tawa, it is beneath the dignity of your house, which you provided to me as shelter for last evening, that I should let these villains of horsemen enter your house only to arrest me. I'll fight them outside your house. But his peak of character was when he was sent to the roof of the government house by Ubaidullah, now to be thrown down. The last words he has is, I have sent a letter to Hussein alayhi salam to come, saying people have made allegiance to him. They have now all turned against him. How do I convey to him? He made wasiyah to Umar ibn Sa'd to write a letter to Hussein alayhi salam not to come to Kufa. He did not trust Umar ibn Sa'd to write that letter. He turns round to the morning breeze and says, O morning breeze, should you chance to pass through Makkah and meet Hussein alayhi salam, convey my message, not to act on what I said in my letter. Can you imagine the level of loyalty? And soon he is seen bowing and saying salam to his Imam alayhi salam. That was the time when Imam Hussein alayhi salam was on his way, and seeing a Muslim being thrown down, the Imam paused to make a salam to Muslim, and Muslim, as his last gesture of life, made salam to his Imam before he departed. May Muslims of the world have the loyalty and courage that Hazrat Muslim alayhi salam manifested in Kufa. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.